Welcome to Telltale Books. It's been a long time since I read one of John Brunner's stories as part of this series. Last one I did was Thou Good and Faithful, which I really loved, though it was just short of being a top tale. That was published in Astounding in March of 1953. So I move on now, and the reason why it took me a while to get to this is a little longer work. It's not quite a novel, it's only a novella. But The Space-Time Juggler, which was published in August of 1953 and was published in a magazine called Two Complete Science Adventure Books. And it was originally published under his under a different name, Killian Houston Brunner, and was originally titled The Wanton of Argus, which title was restored in later collections that Brunner published that had this story. He changed the title back, so The Space-Time Juggler seems to be unique to the Ace edition. And then The Space-Time Juggler is part of John Brunner's Interstellar Empire series, and this is the second one he published in that series. The first one being Galactic Storm, which was also his first published work and his first novel, and was a really amateurish attempt at a novel. It also, having read the two stories, I don't see what Galactic Storm has to do with The Space-Time Juggler. They don't seem like they are part of the same series. And definitely when the Interstellar Empire series was collected by Daw Books in the 1970s as Interstellar Empire, Space-Time Juggler was included there as The Wanton of Argus. Galactic Storm was not included. So I'm not sure Galactic Storm should really be considered to be part of this series, but the ISFDB does list it as part of the Interstellar Empire series. So, okay, the story. You have a king. He is ruler of the Interstellar Empire. He dies at the very beginning of the story. You start out the story, he is dead. And his daughter, the Princess Argus, is in line to take over the empire because her older sister is presumed dead. She's been missing for a lot of years. But all of a sudden, she shows up. And being the older, she is the next in succession, so she's takes over the empire. And of course Princess Argus doesn't like that. Princess Astra, whatever her name was. And then you're introduced to this character who seems to be a wizard. And I don't want to spoil the story from there. The ending gets pretty weird and wild and very kind of different, but not really if you've read Jack Vance. So I guess the thing to know about The Space-Time Juggler is it's really a fantasy story. The science fiction elements are very thin, very minor. If you took out the spaceships, if you took out the other planets, you would have a straight up medieval style fantasy adventure. But there is an interstellar empire, there are other planets, there are spaceships. So what it seems to me Brunner was doing here is he was probably under the influence of Edgar Rice Burroughs, Otis Ada Klein, Leigh Brackett, and possibly even Jack Vance. Jack Vance had been around for about 5 years at the time this story was published. Brunner probably set out to write a story like that, but make it original, and so he did. But you have very much the kind of thing where you're on another planet, but you have soldiers fighting with swords, you have princesses, you have kings, you have palaces, you have wizards. I mean, you have all the typical fantasy elements. And it reads a lot like a fantasy adventure. It reads a lot like a Planet Stories space opera. And that's its weakness. Even though this is an enjoyable story and it's written pretty well, unlike Galactic Storm, this one's decently written. I wouldn't call it great because it's kind of simple. And it relies very heavily on stereotypes and cliches. So there's not a lot of originality here, not a lot of imagination here. There's a lot of stealing from other previous stories, stealing from Burroughs, stealing from Brackett, stealing from Vance. But if you overlook all of that, and you don't mind that it's a simple adventure, and while the writing style is well done, it's nothing great, it's just okay. If you're willing to overlook all that, you have an enjoyable pulp adventure story. So Brunner was outgrowing his teenage years and starting to do some more professional level work, though so far only Thou Good and Faithful has really gone out and done something really good with what he's capable of doing at this time. Space-Time Juggler is just okay. It's just good. It's enjoyable. It's, if you like pulp adventure, this is a good read. If you want something more modern, something deeper, with more characters, something with better world building, any of those kinds of things, you're not going to find it here. So that's the Wanton of Argus or the Space-Time Juggler. Good story, not great, enjoyable, but you'll probably only enjoy it if you like those old-time Planet Stories type space operas. And I will be moving on to Tomorrow is Another Day, Brunner's 6th published story, another novella, as soon as I can get to it. And so I hope you'll join me for future videos. I hope you'll leave comments. Have you read the Space-Time Juggler? What did you think of it? Leave your comments. I go out of my way to give some kind of response, at least a thumbs up to everybody's comment on our videos. And like us and subscribe to us. And I will see you in the next video.